welcome back to another interview. And today we have the one and only, we have the right opinion, or Tro, or whatever he likes to be called today. How's it
I
going,
mean, you
Tro?
can call me whatever you want. Oh, it's going all right. I'm just relaxing in my apartment. Not really much going on. Everyone's deserted me. They've gone off for full break. And so I thought, well, I've got nothing better to do with my life. I mean, not that I have anyway. Um, but I'd sit down with an interview with my good friend, the Charmed Skull. Um, and we're going to have a fantastic, fun interview because I'm a lover of fun, as you can probably tell by my enthusiastic voice.
You know what? Your voice is one of reason and logic. Is definitely what I could say.
Are
Uh,
you implying my voice isn't one of fun?
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying it's more reason than
Mm,
logic. But
very political. I like it.
uh, no, I was a fan of your content before we became friends, and it always makes that fun because getting to see you grow, and then getting to talk to you after the fact and seeing the fact that you know as you've
Yeah,
grown, you're exactly who I expected.
yeah.
You're
I mean,
very intelligent, logical person who's also quite snarky.
what?
You're
That
snarky.
can't be me. The audacity.
The
The audacity.
audacity.
Call me snarky. I'm a very
Uh,
elegant, respectful person. That's me in a nutshell. Can't ever imagine me being snarky. Cool.
I think that that's just
Cool.
natural when it comes with being British. You're just naturally snarky. It's not like something that you think about doing.
Pretty offended now as a
Now
British person. Yeah.
you're really offended. Fair enough.
Can't go typecasting people like that.
Well, I
It's my
mean, I
outrage.
it's not like I have a casting couch or anything, so I don't
I know.
cast anyone.
I will call the campus police on you.
Fair enough. Good luck. I'm
They
like
they they do
3,000 miles
not
away.
tolerate they do not tolerate intolerance. 3,000 miles, uh, they'll do it. They'll
They'll
do
do
it.
it.
They need to get their arrest count up.
Fair enough. Um. So you you were very well clearly opinionated. You're clearly opinionated, and
Really?
yes.
Oh,
No,
oh,
but I like
never
that.
knew.
uh, what do you? So I have a question for you, and this is I don't normally go into stuff about YouTube, but I know that this would be an interesting thing to ask you. What is your opinion on the Shane Dawson videos? The last couple of documentaries
Oh,
he's done.
aha. Well, I can't say too much because my opinion may be revealed later on.
Well, fair enough.
Uh, but what I will say about them is that they are pretty well made and they're entertaining. I watched every episode, so that must be a testament to something about it. Equally, I do think there were some missed opportunities, and I feel like he didn't quite dig in deeply enough with regards to scrutinizing Jake on some past mishaps, and he definitely went for the very sympathetic take, which I completely understand in a way. But on the other hand, it would have been good to see some scrutiny and Jake put in some harder positions. He was put in some tight spots, admittedly, but I think I would have liked to have seen um, a a few more points brought up that have been made by other creators. I feel like it became a very circumstantial conversation over what happened and how it happened, rather than why it happened, which is really what I felt the documentary initially set out to do. Um,
I don't even really
and
know what the documentary started off like set out to do initially. Like Jake Paul, like of the two Pauls, like the Jake was not the one I was expecting this to be about initially. Like you would have thought that Logan, especially with all the controversy that surrounded him
yeah,
over the last year, that he would have been, perfect fodder for something like
I
this.
mean, yeah, but Logan Paul is, as noted by the documentary, he's a charismatic gentleman. On introduction, he is likable. Jake Paul, on the other hand, is rather uh, obnoxious and quite confrontational to many. And my hunch would be, if I was to hazard a guess at why Shane chose him, was that Shane saw something in Jake that resonated with him and thought, well, maybe this isn't the full story. With Logan, Logan's a bit smoother, Logan's a bit more polished, even though the Suicide Forest, of course, was a terrible predicament for him. Um, no, he's got his series back. I mean, it hasn't really
Yeah.
affected him because he's still an incredibly suave, smooth individual.
Like, that's the thing. Like, the whole Logan getting his series back. Like, that was completely expected for me. Like, I saw that coming from a mile away that he was going to get his series back. I thought it was just, YouTube putting it on the shelf until things calmed down enough that they could release it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And who knows? It probably wasn't shelved at all. It was probably supposed to come out at the time that it did. It's just they kept it quiet. That could also be the case.
A possibility must be considered. Ah, what a delightful conversation.
What do you think about the fact that YouTube went down recently?
I was very, very irritated, vexed by it. Because I had a video that was doing fairly well. It was getting a good 100 views an hour. It wasn't perfect, but it'd been fairly consistent. And the YouTube shut down and absolutely got sliced, and it hasn't recovered since. And that has annoyed me a bit because I was hoping that video would do better, given the
topic,
amount of
yeah.
given the topic, given the amount of research into it, given the new perspective, even I thought it would perform better. And a lot of people were telling me they said the right opinion. This is one of your best videos.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, I personally didn't think it was my best video, but it was definitely up there with some of my favorites, especially in the amount of research that I did.
No, I really liked that video. In fact, I watched it twice once YouTube came back up.
Well, it's very your support is much appreciated.
I like to support friends. Well, I do follow people who are not friends, but I like to always make sure that the people who I watch first are people who I'm friends with, because I know how much watch time and ad revenue means to creators, especially when they're doing it full time. I don't really have to worry about that just yet since I'm working a full-time job. But I imagine if I ever did get the ability to work full time, I would stress more about it.
Yeah, I completely empathize there. I mean, I don't do YouTube full time. It's not the end of my world. My life will go on regardless of what happens on YouTube, but it would be great if these things could take off. It would be a fantastic opportunity for me to actually change my life in some way. So it does mean a lot when these things do go the right way. And so that whole YouTube shutdown was a bit inconvenient because it did knock my channel significantly. And I hope that by the time my next video comes out, it'll all be fine, and they'll be back to loving me again, because they have been good to me, YouTube. And I can't deny that. But equally, I have to consider that these things might not work out, and that the shutdown is something that is an inevitability to an extent. These things are cases where they happen and they affect people, and whether it's fair or not, that's the way it is.
I'm still curious on what caused that, but even if YouTube knows, which they more than likely do at this point, they're not going to publicly state why it went down.
Well, no, they can't.
if it is like a mistake of their own, they don't want people to know that there was a mistake. And if they were hacked, they definitely don't want people to know they were hacked.
Yeah, exactly.
Though I don't think they were hacked. I know that I must admit I do watch Keemstar. Not a fan of him, but I do watch Drama Alert because sometimes the information is interesting. And when he was expressing like the theories on why YouTube went down, the DNS server sounded plausible, and this is coming from the fact that I have an IT background, but it would have been fixed considerably easier. Like it wouldn't have taken an hour or two to fix it. It would have taken like 5 minutes at most.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, we can only hypothesize what happened. Unfortunately, I doubt we will ever know unless someone leaks it, which is also a possibility, but I doubt it will be that important. I doubt people will care. They just want to get their videos.
Yeah, people just want to get their views back, and YouTube kind of, with that whole situation, it screwed over a lot of people, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, it was mildly reassuring to know that I wasn't the only person who had that experience.
Yeah, it was interesting seeing Mr. Beast tweet out the fact that he had like 0 views for hours, for like over an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
Post getting YouTube coming back up, like his views just died. So I remember. So prior to us doing this interview, you said something about tea being spilt. And I'm kind of curious what you meant by that.
Haha. Oh, tea being spilled. I mean, that was just a proverbial phrase. About drama that goes on, and I said we're always talking about that.
Yeah,
and
you and I tend to be in a lot of calls that are surrounded by drama.
Oh yeah, I'm not an inherently dramatic person, but I do hear a lot from a lot of people about drama that goes on, and I do participate in shenanigans myself from time to time, but most of it is just discussions with people, and what people tell me and stuff that happened, and it is interesting to an extent. I don't really have many horses in races, if you know what I mean when I say that, but it is interesting to observe all the interaction that happen between people. And to talk about things, and I do have my opinions on people. As you say, I'm a strongly opinionated person, and that's something that I will never filter.
That's good. You shouldn't.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I have to admit, there were times in the past when I was quite cautious with what I said, but I realized that at the end of the day, I need to make content that is subsistent, that only relies on myself and the people who enjoy it as well. They can watch along too, and if anything comes out of that, net positive. Unfortunately, it's often the case that that many creators do actually kind of feel like they need others' approval, and often tend to appeal to other larger creators. I think a lot of people have been caught in that mindset in the past. It's not one that pays off. It's not one that pays off long term.
No, not really.
And I think that breaking out of that is a really important first step to actually having independent opinions and standing up for yourself.
I pretty much try to stay as neutral as possible with a lot of drama, and I do that for many reasons because I tend to have friends on both sides of most of the internal squabbles. So there'll be like drama between one group of people and another group of people within the commentary community, and I'm like, oh, I have friends on both sides of this fence, and they're like coming to me as kind of like a neutral party, and I'm like, it gets taxing.
It does.
Being a neutral party sometimes, because you're like, I care about both of you, and so really what I want to do is slap both of you upside your head. But then again, this could be really interesting content if you make a video about it. So I'm like, I'm thinking on both sides of the fence. I'm like, this is so fucking annoying. Like that last situation that we were a part of that ended up becoming a non-issue. That one, I think that the video would have been interesting, and I would have totally watched it, and I think a lot of people would have watched it. But I also think that it might have been a good idea that it got shelved, because I don't think that especially in our community. Especially, we shouldn't be making videos on each other out of anger.
Oh, without a doubt, everything has to be made with logic and with the notion that this is actually how we feel. Like nothing should be necessarily made unnecessarily.
Exactly.
Um, and that's the thing with me. I make videos that I feel like people care about and I care about. And I think that's the thing. If people care about the videos they make, then that's fine. They can go for it. And they can be judged on those videos by other people who care about those videos. And that's the base formula I use. I would never dissuade someone from making a video on others in the community. I'm not someone who would shy away from it either. I've made videos on people in the community, especially of recent. Um, I made videos on friends of friends, and you know I think a very good example was of Jackmate, and Jackmate was a very interesting situation because Jackmate had many mutuals in the community,
Right.
but I was quite critical of him. But at the end of the day, because I delivered my criticism in a way that actually was mildly constructive, he messaged me and we had a good chat about it. Because at the end of the day, I don't believe these people are mostly bad people. When I deliver my criticism, it's more about the points they make and the discussion they're having and whether there's something that can be learned from it. And so that's what matters to me, not
Oh yeah.
necessarily the person as a character, because you know I can never fully tell what's going on inside someone's mind as much as I would love to be a psychic. Unfortunately, I haven't developed those supernatural powers yet, though possible. I'm still waiting on them. It's a very interesting discussion to be had, without a doubt, how to deliver content in the most meaningful manner. And for me, I always think about like, how would I say this to someone in real life? There are too many creators who are just audacious, braggadocious online, and then they just completely go into shell when they have to actually confront that person. If I ever meet someone that I've criticized, my criticisms will still be there. And that's for me, that's important. I have to practice what I preach. And I have to be able to actually like meet that person in real life and not like just kind of concede to them. I have to be like say, well, no, I still think that was wrong. And that typically means that it means that I'm quite civil in my videos, because I'm not going to be an aggressive twat in real life, because that's not who I am. So why would I be that in my videos? Though, you know, I am a passionate person, that comes across, but equally I have to keep in mind that there are still real people at the end of these videos.
Oh yeah. I mean, some of us put on personas, but to like over exaggerate like emotions and stuff like that. But I think that there comes a point where people lean too much into their persona, and then that becomes how everyone sees them, which is a problem, because then you're being criticized for something that in real life isn't you at all, but no one sees a glimmer of who you are because you put on these like extremes of being I hate to put it out there, but like Progress was one of those people. Like, he is the nicest person when you get into a conversation with him, and he is very opinionated and very logical when you speak to him. But in his videos, he can come off very like overly emotional and very angry, and and on Twitter he was coming off that way as well. So for somebody who doesn't, if you didn't speak to him often, like in voice calls or anything like that, it could be easily misconstrued that the person that he puts out everywhere else is who he is.
And I do understand that. It's important to draw a line between the persona and the person, and
I'm
that's
exactly
a legitimate point.
Same. Like,
I mean, with me, obviously, I have a persona that's a bit more passionate, a bit more, is delivering the video, because I can't just do that with my normal attitude. But equally, at the same time, they are things that I always believe in. I think that has to be the grounds for a persona. You have to be able to build off something that you actually believe in, and then turn it into, an entertaining video. We all need personas to be entertaining, but at the same time, it has to be grounded, in my opinion, in something that you can believe in, that you can stand by, unless we're getting into like comedic personas like Filthy Frank, which is a different can of worms. For commentary, for me, like, I would never say something in my video that I did not believe at the time. and that's very important to distinguish, especially like because that's how commentators' reputations are built. They're built on that fundamental trust, and that trust has to come partly from the opinions and the consistency in the morality.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree that you kind of need to build up. Like, clearly I'm not nearly as happy and hyper and all that stuff, like, all the time. 90% of the time I'm a mostly introverted person who stays quiet in voice calls and listens to music while people are talking. But I try to talk more in these because they're supposed to be conversations. They're supposed to be, like, this back and forth. And luckily I haven't been in a conversation yet on my channel with anyone who has made me feel mentally drained after. Like, I don't feel like I have to force myself too much to be happy to be around them.
Yes.
I imagine if it was like low-key or something like that, I might have to push myself to be like, yay, I'm really happy to be in this voice call with somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't I wouldn't force yourself to be happy with Loki. I mean, I just bury him there and there.
I would be very. I think I might actually be more aggressive if I ever actually spoke with him, but he and I have never actually had any sort of interaction whatsoever.
Well, it's one of those things. I used to know Loki relatively well, because he was in my server a lot, and we had some voice chats, and I gave him some very good advice. I mean, I was very cautious with him because I knew that there was a lot of controversy surrounding him, but at the time, like the biggest thing that he got into was scamming people's Patreons, and it was very shitty. But he had stopped it, and it was like, well, this person might want to get better, but for a few months everything was fine with him, and it was there was very little controversy surrounding him, and then at the end of December, start of January, it just all spiraled again. He was terrible, and it was that point I was like, well, no, I don't think this person is there to be saved, is there to be helped. Like, he should not have a platform. End of. And here we are. He's got over 100,000 subscribers. Most of them probably come from the after effects, the collateral of some botting done by him. Dishonest methods, definitely. But what can you do about it? It is what it is. I just think it's important that people don't idolize him, and reaction commentary hopefully doesn't have too long left for people like him, at least. I mean, there are some really good reaction channels, without
Benji,
doubt, but
Scrubby, Cyrus is okay.
Is that pun?
I didn't actually think. I forgot that that's his on Twitter. Oops.
Yeah.
I was just thinking. I was like, oh, I like Benji. I like.
I mean, yeah, no, there are some good content creators. Benji's good. Scrubby's all right.
I think
Cyrus,
Scrubby
I'm not.
Do great if he.
I mean, Scrubby can do great if he switches on, but sometimes he'll just sit there on autopilot, and that's always been his problem. He's a nice guy, very capable creator, but
he's very charismatic when you. When you can get to talk to him.
When you get to talk to him, he's very charismatic. One of the biggest problems, though, is that I don't think he ever chose reaction commentary because it was something that he was deeply passionate about. He chose it because it was what's going at the time. And I think that there can be some there are times when you can be passionate about topics and you can you get that out. But there are other times when you can tell, like in his videos, he just wasn't feeling it that day. That's what I can never really do. Like, I have to do content I care about, or else I wouldn't do it.
Oh yeah,
especially given the length and depth of my video. With a reaction video, you can even if you're having a bad day, you can sit down, you can just plow it out, even if it sounds a bit more muted than normal. With longer content, you can't do that. You can't sit down for 40 minutes an hour recording yourself if you want to die inside. So I know I respect Scrubby's content at its best, because it can be quite good, but there are times when he can do better, and I've told him that, he knows that.
Yeah.
Um, it's just one of those things. Yeah, you just have to keep it in mind. Um, with regards to that, I mean, I can't really comment on stuff. I just haven't watched his content really.
Yeah,
I've spoken.
I try to watch his content, but again, it's hard as like I watch Scrubby mostly because when he's good, when his charisma is on point, like the videos can draw you in even if they're reaction commentary about a subject that you're not really passionate about. But Cyrus, he's still trying to. I feel like he's still trying to find that like thing to pull people in.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, of course.
Like, I'm glad to see that he's growing. I just hope that he improves as he grows.
Yeah, yeah.
I am in a weird fluctuating state with my channel, as I started off with commentary and trashed that after 2 videos, and then went to political commentary, and I gained most of my subscribers from that. And then stopped that because I got burnt out really quickly.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I know that. I did political commentary for a while, and I just gave up on it eventually. I mean, I'll still be integrating political topics into my videos, but I'm not interested in continuing political commentary as a specific genre right now,
And
because I'm not even happy with my political content back then. I mean, I'm not happy with my political content that I did back then. I was obviously like relatively happy with it at the time, but looking back,
as you learn.
just like, yeah, exactly. I'm much happier with the content that I'm making now because it feels like it has more meaning and more impact, and I think that's the most important thing to me. Making sure your content like leaves an impact like that.
And now I'm kind of like I'm at the point where I've been doing the interviews for long enough that like I'm starting to lose subscribers from the people who subscribed to me before who realize I'm not going back. And it's not like I'm like, if you look at my channel, like it doesn't look like I'm losing subscribers. It's just also not looking like I'm gaining, because as I'm losing, I'm gaining back. So I finally got out of that. I was at like -17 for like 2 months. Like that was my average for 28 days. And I'm finally up like positive 22. I'm finally getting positive again, which means my channel's finally growing again. From the weird fluctuation that happened, swapping content, and I've been debating on doing 2 videos a week because I want to do other content other than just interviews. I want to be able to do more rant videos, and I have a couple scripts in the work for like not per se like commentary videos, but more like opinion pieces. Like
yeah, of course.
Like this was a topic that I talked to someone about, and it was a very, very interesting topic to me, and I'm going to be doing this video, and I have no worry if the audience hears that this video is coming out, because it's going to probably be a while, and most of them will probably forget by then, but it's the thought process between showing your face or not showing your face on YouTube, especially in the commentary community. And the net positives and the negatives to showing your face or not showing your face.
Yeah, no, I think that's an interesting topic that you could cover fairly comprehensively.
And I have enough people on both sides who do and who don't like purposely show their face that I can gather information from both sides, and I want to like allow people to, if they want, I'm going to talk to a couple people from both sides to see if they want to put clips of like their opinions on why they do or don't show their face.
That's fair enough. I mean that's understandable. You do that, that'll probably work out all right for you. I mean, I hope it will at least.
Yeah.
I'm
just
but it's interesting. But yeah, I mean, particularly for the position that I've always been in the community. It was just I decided to make my videos more community oriented eventually and make them, somewhat more like colorful and give them more of a structure. And I think that worked out really well.
Yeah.
It's worked out better than anything else, and so I just need to think about like what direction I want to take this in to give a consistent result, which I guess we'll see. We'll definitely see, the jury's out currently if it's going to be anything lasting. But I hope it is at least. I hope that people enjoy my content and take something away from it. Um, and the fact that you do
Yeah.
is at least some soft reassurance. I'm an extremely skeptical person, extremely cynical. I never think anything will ever work out, just so I'm not disappointed. And
I'm an
that's
optimist, extreme optimist.
well,
Like
I
I am a
know.
very happy. Like in general, I'm a happy-go-lucky person, extremely optimist, an optimistic person, and a supportive person, and that's why I can get mentally drained and have to lock myself away from the internet for a couple hours or something because I'm just like, oh, like some people, never going to name names, but there are some people who just need more support than others, and being there for them's great, but also can be taxing
Yeah,
on
yeah,
mental uh on me mentally.
yeah, yeah. Exactly, exactly. So it's all a mixed bag, and
I'm still new
you,
to the community itself, though. Like,
I mean, but like you've met like a lot of people in the community, and it's like you end up like being more of an observer. I'm gonna say observer. You just end up a spectator. Spectator.
yeah, that's a
That's a
better
good
one.
appropriate word. Um, a spectator to a lot of what's going on, and it's like you don't really want to get involved, but it can be entertaining. It can be entertaining, and one of the things that was very weird was Orion, right?
I do. I've spoken
Yeah,
with
of
Orion a couple
course.
times.
The whole situation surrounding Orion and all that, which was really surfaced. I mean, that was all that originally transpired during March,
Right.
and it took a whole half a year to even come back and resurface. And it's weird how the community works like that. Um, and it
Speaking
was
of that
just the
whole
fact that.
situation, I had
Hmm.
somebody DM me because I'm friends with Quite. Like he and I are cool. But I had somebody DM me going, one misgendering Orion, but saying that they were friends with them, and saying that they were friends with him, and saying that you know, they knew the whole situation. I'm going to use the proper pronouns, even though this person didn't. But then they're also like, I don't want what happened to them to happen to you. I'm like, it's not, because they're completely different situations. Because
Yeah,
this
yeah.
person came directly from videos, uh, and then, reached out to me because they saw that we were mutual friends, that Quite and I were mutual friends on
Yeah.
Twitter. I'm like,
Hmm.
that's not how that works. Like, just because you see that two people are friends or follow each other on Twitter doesn't mean that they're at that level of friendship. I can say that I have no person who I'm completely dependent on in the community. Maybe Leslie, but she's not really in the community except for the fact that I sort of pulled her in. Um, and that's just
Yeah.
because she's my best friend. And it's not like it's a best friend thing where I think at one point I will not need her anymore. It's one of those things where she's kind of integrated into my life.
Yeah. Yeah. That's understandable. I think with those things, it's just obviously important to know where you stand with people, and it's clear you have a fairly strong grounding on it. Really, the problem with that whole Orion situation was more the group mentality at the time.
Yeah.
Um, um, the other individual involved, Kappa Kaiju, uh, has, I mean, on top of quite apologizing, which has to be noted, Kappa Kaiju has also apologized to Orion. So those things can't go without note. And I think at the time people were just very caught up in this blowing up, this group mentality that occupied themselves, and really I don't know how long that's going to last because I've been speaking to people in that whole Reddit group, and
Right.
then they're not currently like entirely happy with the state of affairs, because it does come across as a very business oriented relationship, and that's not great for your health. But and equally, like, there are people in there who have more authority over others, and more decision, like who comes in, who goes out of the group. And I think it just leaves people a bit uncomfortable. That's the general impression that I've got from conversations and what people have actually told me. um and it's like, I think that sort of group like mentality can yield those sorts of situations with Orion and such. And like, I was very angry, at Cap Kaiju for what he did, because it was textbook gaslighting. Like, he pretty much like was telling an autistic person like that he had this mental perception completely skewed. And that's not acceptable. That's not really acceptable by many people's standards. But I'm not gonna say, like, we're ever gonna be best mates. I think that's highly doubtful. But an apology, from what I've heard, it was quite genuine. It was a step in the right direction. It was better than nothing. And I respect him for that. And at the end of the day, although I find things that are like that quite like, even though actions are like that, you think, wow, someone must have some real, like, pernicious character to do something like that. At the same time, I'm always someone who believes that others can get better, and if he's willing to get better, then hopefully we'll see. It was after concede that it was a singular situation. And as far as I'm concerned, like with Cap Kaiju, no, it hasn't happened since.
Yeah.
And so I have to give credit.
The problem is with that entire situation is, the videos themselves, like the two videos that came out about it, both on about Quite and about Kappa. Sure, yeah, they didn't get a lot of views, but they got a lot of the right views. Like, they got a lot of the community, and they got a lot. I'm in a lot of these people's servers, and I can see like the chattering amongst some of the fans about the videos. And I think the fact that it was never actually officially said that there was a resolution. Like, don't come out, like, they don't need to come out and say that, like, do like a public apology, because that's fucking unnecessary. But an acknowledgement that there was a resolution to this whole situation probably would, I guess, assist them, because people are going to continue to connect those two situations but not know if there's a resolution, so they're going to continuously, like, there was that video made by I think he's a newer commentator, but his channel's like an older channel, like he has like 30K subs or something.
Or Daniki.
No. It was recently. It was this guy named Manga Common, and
Manga Common, yes.
Yeah, and his video was extremely surface level. It literally just took bits from two other videos and just him giving his opinions over them without having any further information, which didn't help.
I mean, I did actually, because I did actually speak to him about it, and I did inform him. I did inform him at the time that the situations were resolved.
But he didn't say that. Not really.
But I mean, if he didn't say that, then I did watch like the first 10 minutes of that video, and it seemed fine. But equally at the same time,
he brought up the Progress iNaver situation in the last half.
Yeah, I mean the manga Carmen video was more about the overarching mentality, because at the end of the day, like although definitely like what happened between Quiet and Orion is resolved.
Yeah,
it still happened, and there was still a driving mentality behind that. And that was what the video was actually like. That was what the video was trying to get about. And there was also other points about like individuals like Wild Spartans who, far as we know, hasn't really like, addressed any points at all.
No, he won't.
And he won't address. I don't expect him to. But I think people, there are a lot of discussions going on in the community about about people and individuals and their mentalities with regards to that. And I think it's fair and reasonable that we do have those discussions. And at the end of the day, like,
I just
an
think that
apology. Yeah, you go.
I was just gonna say, I think that his video could have been done better if the narrative had been more structured towards not two very specific topics and just more of an overarching thing, because he went very specific instead of because those sure are the most recent, but if you're going to show that this is something that YouTubers, especially in the commentary community, have done, there is so many examples from
Didn't he discuss? Didn't he discuss? I thought he discussed Keemstar and Leafy.
Only very minorly. Like, it was so minor that it was forgettable.
I mean, fair enough. I mean, I remember it.
The Leafy, the whole Leafy situation with all of those people. Then there's the hot wet soup stuff with Zaptai, and there's so much stuff that could have been, like, if you're going to make a video about how YouTubers tend to step on their friends, like, there's I gotta say, there's probably like a stack of people that could have been gone through. It could have been a very well-made, like, 20-minute video.
Sure. There definitely like things that could have been used, but at the end of the day, like, guess what? That's what he chose to do because it was his community. Mankamu does cover very specific topics.
That is true.
With the inclusion of a general narrative about what it is, and of course, these were not the worst examples that he touched on, and there are definitely more infamous, notorious situations within the community. But at the same time, it's the same with like Turkey Tom situation where he made that house live but by omission.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that was a very specific example, but there was still a narrative about that, about how by not including context, you could, even though you may not be directly lying to your audience, you can create a misconception.
That is, yeah. I guess I can see your point. I guess. I
mean, of course it would have been, and I said what I said to him at the time. I said for your information, quite as apologized. I mean, at the time, Quite had apologized, and Kappa Kaiju hadn't. I said Quite had apologized, and therefore, like, although I do consider the situation partially resolved, I don't think it affects your points too much because you're making a discussion about the overarching mentality, and you're also discussing people like Wild Spartans who you haven't made a comment on it at all. Not that I'd expect him to, because he's never been caught up in any difficulty regarding it. But at the same time, like, that was the general, like, discussion that we had, and I do think obviously it would have been good if he could include that because Quite has apologized. I don't know if the situation is actually like, I'm not sure if the air has been fully cleared between them, as far as I know. But Quite did apologize, and that was something that I would have liked to have seen in the video, and I do concur there without a doubt. I think it's important to add that context to make sure the video isn't just an attack on people. But equally, I said I don't think this changes many of the points of the video, and it didn't change many of the points of the video because it was talking about what happened, and those things did happen regardless of whether amends had been made.
That's accurate. Unfortunately, the progress content kind of caused a little bit of drama within my friend group just because there was some back end stuff that isn't really public that kind of became issues with that, and
yeah, I remember that.
And the whole situation with that is, as much as, here's a hint, unless you have 100% proof, and this is my belief, unless there is actually, like, somebody did something shitty in DMs or in a group chat, and you have actual proof that this person did it, taking someone's opinion on someone else, especially when you don't know their mental state, and then putting that public as a putting those DMs public in a video should not be a thought process, because you don't know whether or not that person was angry with the other person for something else when they said those thoughts. And so you could hurt other people. You could hurt both parties by that.
I mean, of course, that is an important point to consider. And my best advice in those situations was, because it's hard to decipher an individual's mental state, but that doesn't mean that information shouldn't be like taken in just because someone may be annoyed or angry at the time. But equally, it should be disclaimed at least that the person like, you know, was fairly annoyed. Maybe that's something that, and that's the thing what I do for my videos. Like, when I discuss relationships with people that I'm covering, I'll say I've experienced this with a person, that with a person. I've made a video on this person in the past. It's important to let people know the context of your relationship with the person before you go in, so people can't try and bring that back, and also so people can take that into consideration when making their own judgment on the situation.
Yes. Also, Progress should disclose the fact that he and Leslie were friends, instead of trying to make it sound like he reached out to her just for that situation, because that was not the case.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course. And I think that was a mistake on his behalf. Because once again, that's like, you know, you're omitting information, and therefore that can create misconceptions.
Yes.
But you know, from what I understand, it's resolved. Well, I mean, I know we're going back to resolve.
It became resolved the night that we were all in that group chat about the drama. Were you in that group chat? Or no? I don't.
Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm
it was right after the Manga Common video happened. We created a Discord call, and we brought in a couple people who were affected by it, and we had a conversation, and that sort of resolved the whole situation between the internal squabbles that were going on, and especially like including Progress and I. Anybody who's seen on Twitter, he and I had a kind of back and forth for a little bit, and I don't tend to have back and forths with people publicly. Like, I try to keep, if I'm disappointed in you, I tend to just go into DMs and speak to you about it, or I'll get you in a voice call and talk to you about it. But I was quite upset.
Well, that's understandable. We
especially when it comes to people who you feel like you want and or need to defend, like if it's your best friend, or if it's somebody who you love and care about, and something like that, you can get slightly more defensive, especially publicly.
Of course. I mean, you know, we all have our altercations on occasion. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I mean, obviously, like, you know, it's something that we might look back and think, well, we got a bit out of hand there. Yeah. But it also, you know, we're passionate people. What else can we say? Like, it happens from time to time. I think we've all done it. What matters is that, you know, we acknowledge that it was a bit silly and a bit unnecessary, and we move on.
Though I've never said anything I honestly regret, not publicly at least.
That's fair enough. I mean,
nothing I've said privately could be used against me in an exposed video.
Good. That's good. That's good. I mean, well, this is always a start.
Anyways, Leslie already screenshots like all the snarky things I say and puts them out public as exposed. Like me saying I blocked my mom from Twitter. I did that because, she gets upset by like everything. So.
Yeah. Oh, you know, some people are like that. Yeah. At the end of the day, you know, it is what it is. But it's interesting, definitely, because YouTube is a very diverse platform, and the commentary community is just a small part of it, very small part of it, very minuscule, and all the drama is even more minor. But to an individual, it can feel very important and prominent at the time. And it's just important about
audience feels when they see all this.
Yeah.
Because as an audience member prior, like 2016, 2017, even early 2018, like whenever there was drama within the community and I was seeing the effects in the videos and on Twitter and on Instagram and stuff, like, it seems so large. It seemed like massive to me because, like, that's what I was watching. And when you were seeing all these people and all of the interconnecting videos that were coming out about people and all this stuff, it can kind of overwhelm somebody who watches commentary, especially commentary specifically. But from the inside, it's so small. It's like nothing. Like a lot of these cases of drama and are slightly over exaggerated for views, and like the bigger things of drama, like the way Kappa acted, and Davis, Citrix Gaming, and hit all of his antics, and stuff like that. Like, they don't seem to get, like, the Kappa situation, that's done. Davis is still a part of the community, even though he's like the pariah of the community. And
it's a significant issue that people care letting these individuals back in. I mean, that is one of the biggest problems within the community. You have this constant mentality where you ostracize someone, you don't want them back in, but then you have this small set of individuals who are just what the fuck? Give me a sec.
It sounds like the train has passed. I don't hear it.
Yeah. I know. It's just sometimes they'll do an extra one just to piss me off. So I'm just gonna make sure, but I think we can continue now. But basically, I mean, the Loki situation is because we can ostracize someone so much, but it's like a supply and demand economy. As soon as you've got this like YouTuber, as soon as no one, like a load of people do not want to be friends with him, the few people who do want to be friends with him get him back in the community, and he's very accessible to them because he becomes like in supply to them, and they demand him, and then they get him, coerce him back in because he's looking for friends because no one wants to be friends with him, and rightfully so. People shouldn't be friends with him. Like, the stuff he did was terrible, and I and many others gave him a second chance with the community, and he absolutely abused it, and he continued to abuse it after he gained prominence. There were many controversies continuing with other YouTubers, like I think it was Just Destiny had some run-in with him. I mean, Turkey Tom had multiple run-ins with him leaking his face before it was revealed. Right. And this was after he gained subscribers. And it was the same pathetic excuses every single time people confronted him. It was like one of the ones was one of the times you posted, and this was like when Loki was on 60,000, and he posted Tom's face and atted everyone in the server, and someone confronted him over it, and he was like, "Oh no, someone else logged into my account." And what a fucking stupid excuse. No one's gonna believe that shit. No one should believe that shit. He's full of shit. He gets off somehow by doing ridiculously shitty things, and people shouldn't really tolerate it. And the idea that he's a changed man is ridiculously flawed narrative. And on top of that, the fact that he
stupid things that, like, how many times can you redeem yourself before it's just that you're a shitty person?
Exactly. I accept that people make mistakes. People do stupid, terrible things sometimes. But by the time that he was trying to blackmail like nudes of very underage people, it was like, no, people should be drawing a line there. And no one fucking drew a line. And he's still uploading. He still has a platform. There are still people that I know who are in touch with him. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? There are still people in his comment sections. Like, I was really disappointed to see Scrubby in Loki's comment section recently. Like that was his latest video. You know, no one should be giving him any attention at all,
I just
even
don't
if
watch
it's
his content.
well, no, I mean that's the thing. That's the thing. You shouldn't be watching his content. And no, I felt bad. I felt dirty just for giving that one single view. But I wanted to see if anyone who I know was still in touch there, and there was Scrubby. And I was pissed off about that because he should know better to be engaging on that level. And one of these things, and one of these really annoying things that some YouTubers do, and often like signifies to me that these people are a bit fake, is what they'll do is there'll be a drama video, or maybe a video from a notorious person, and what they'll do is they'll put in like this very neutral comment that no one can interpret either way, and it gets the attention of those people. And so on one hand you have people thinking, oh yeah, he's telling him, but on the other hand you have people thinking, oh no, he's not meaning anything towards me. It's
Right.
like the classic yikes. Fraser fucking does that. That pisses me off. Fraser, someone will upload a drama video, like criticizing him. Like, I think Danica did it.
Yeah.
And Fraser will leave a comment saying, "Yikes!" Like, what the fuck's that meant to me, mate? What the hell are you on about? I don't care. I don't care if you don't want to contribute anything. I don't want to contribute anything to those things. I know I don't comment, but don't comment at like you're contributing to the conversation while simultaneously saying absolutely nothing. And that's what bugs me from time to time. Those are pedantic things. They are pedantic things. I admit I'm a pedantic person, and I will definitely
Oh, I'm
jump
also
to
quite pedantic.
yeah. But it's those little things, and I'll read into those comments, and I'll think you people, you know what you're doing, and I don't like that. I don't vibe with that. And it was the same with Scrubby's comment on Loki's latest video. It was like a semi jokey comment, like how to delete someone else's video, and I don't care. Don't. It could be interpreted as a joke, which it probably was, but equally, like, it wasn't really like calling anyone out, wasn't calling Loki out. Like, don't engage with him. Don't give him that attention. Don't act like you're supporting him. Don't let people think that this is what we want in the community, because we don't want Loki in the community. I will fucking stop him at the fucking gates.
Honestly, Loki's one of the few people I don't think I'd ever let on my channel. I don't think and I think it's more, it's twofold. Like, one, I think he's, and this can be quoted, I think Loki is a disgusting human being who shouldn't be posting videos on YouTube. And two, I'm a mom, and yeah, I kind of would, maybe if he and I were in a face-to-face, punch him in the face for the things that he's done.
Yeah, I mean, it's legitimately disgusting when you think about it. It's unacceptable, and it really angers me when I think too much about it. I mean, generally, like, I just think about this person who shit things, but equally, like what he did in people's servers, what he did, he was a horrendous abuse of power, and attempting to solicit nudes from very, very young people, indeed, very young people. I think it's egregious. I mean, honestly, I think police.
Like, not in jail.
I'm surprised a police report hasn't been filed, and I think it was at the time because he was like 16. I mean, no, maybe it's because I don't know the laws exactly, but those people were like, I think it was like they were at most there was someone who was at most 13.
In the United States, having nudes of anyone under the age of 18 can get you in trouble, including yourself. Yeah. Having nudes of yourself can get you in trouble for child pornography. Kids, I don't know if you take nudes. Yeah. Don't send nudes. Just don't. I
mean, that's why I'm being cautious what I'm saying here. I don't know exactly what happened. Yeah. One thing I do know is that he tried to coerce people into getting him nudes, very, very young people, because I know he has some serious issues. I mean, let's face it, he's not not the most attractive person. I mean,
I don't know what he looks
he,
like.
you
I've
know,
never made a single effort
oh
to.
well. I mean, when you see it, you'll see like, oh yeah, you know, I he looks like a swamp monster, really. I mean, to be frank, I mean, you know, he's rather, you know, rather disgusting, person. And people shouldn't support that. Like, once you've done something that egregious, he should at least not be welcome back in this community. And the amount and that whole changed man narrative, you know, has mostly been proved to be bullshit anyway. But even with mind to that, like, if you need subscribers to make you a better person, chances are you're not a good person. Like, I've been doing this. I've been doing this mentality. I've been trying to be nice to people before I got subscribers.
Right.
And
You should
I
always just be nice to people.
exactly
Treat people
exactly
how you want them to treat you.
it's a moral law. And Davis Loki cannot help himself. He could never help himself. And I gave him great advice. I gave him fantastic advice on how to improve himself, and he didn't take any of it. And for that, you know, I find it an insult that people in the community engage with him after what he did. You know, and the fact that people are willing to put that at risk again, to put other people at risk, because it's very possible that it can happen again with someone with that mentality.
Oh yeah.
And by validating him, and by allowing him to operate like that, they are validating the possibilities that may appeal. They can't say they don't know better. Like, if I was friends with someone and suddenly, like, out of nowhere, he turned out to be a horrible person, like I can at least say, I don't know. But if I knew he was a horrible person, and I continued to enable him, then no. Like, and I'm friends with a lot of controversial people. In the community, and people, but the reason I'm friends with them is because I think they can be better. The truth is about Loki is that he's beyond redemption, and
At least
also
currently.
none of my.
I mean, he's a
I mean,
child
yeah.
still,
Oh,
so like
I mean,
maybe if he stepped away from
I
the
mean,
internet, got some mental help,
maybe.
learned
Yeah.
and grow, maybe in like 3 or 4 years' time, if he came back, then it
Yeah.
might be logical. But he's like what, 16 or 17 years old.
Yeah.
He's a actual child. Like, in the United States, 16 does not make you an adult at
Yeah.
all.
And
He shouldn't
and
be doing
yeah.
what he does, and what should be happening, and somebody should reach out to his parents. Any one of you who are friends with him and know his parents well enough should reach out to his parents about this shit, because
I mean, yeah.
they can take away his internet.
Yeah, I don't know about all that, but it's just I mean, once again, I'm friends with controversial people. But if any of my friends were caught trying to solicit nudes of underage people, they would be damned. They would be damned. They would regret ever communicating with me, because I would not lay off. And I'm very critical of my friends. I'm
Oh,
very
yeah.
critical of my friends. And you've seen me at work with Oceanus and Zyst, and I do not hold back with the criticism, because
Nope.
I think people can do better. And being affirmative yes men just enables, like, bad mentality. Like giving people advice on how they can improve is so important. And I am generally an optimist in what people can be better, and that's why, like, the people I'm friends with can be controversial. They have done stuff. They have I mean, not done stuff, but a lot of my friends, like, are some more edgy people from time to time. But equally, like, I think to myself, you know what, these people do want to get better, and a lot of them have got better. And that's what I want to see, and that's what I want to do. I want to leave a positive impact on them. With people like Loki, there is no like impact he absorbs. It just bounces off his fucking humongous belly. Um and and um and that's the issue. That's the issue. He never takes in the consequences of his actions. And as you say, he needs to seek help away from this community, and people shouldn't enable him, or else they're really enabling him really enabling these possible incidents happening again.
I 100% agree with that. That is, he should, like, the people who are around him just should take a step back and just walk away from the situation. They should walk away from him. Not, like, we need to not give him access to young girls and need to not support him as a content creator. There are some people who are worth supporting. I think edgy jokes are perfectly fine. Honestly,
Yeah.
I think if you've dropped even the N-word or something in the past, like, just that shouldn't matter. But
Yeah, I
like,
mean, I mean, this is the thing. I think even a lot of people, like, even on the more critical, like, left wing, like YouTube, like myself, like, even though like we differ in many opinions, um, I think many of us agree that people shouldn't necessarily be held to account on things they said when they were very young, when they were
yes,
younger. You know, and sometimes, like, for me, it's like, you know, it's very easy to tell someone where they've gone wrong. But I think it's more important to tell someone how they can do better.
exactly.
And and for me, that's what it's always about, helping those people do better. And you know, also, like, taking some lessons for myself. Like, I can learn from an array of people, and right now, like, I feel like I'm surrounding myself with some good people who are definitely far, like, not perfect people, not perfect without a doubt, but they have the right mentality to get there. I mean, not necessarily, no one can reach true perfection, and, like, true perfection is a subjective concept in itself. But at the end of the day, like, reaching their own ideals of what they strive for, because they are people who want to do better. And I think that's important. And like, you saw with, like, the whole, like, James Gunn
Yeah,
controversy and all that, that people, like, know that these people have made edgy comments, things in the past that, you know, is fairly questionable. But on the other hand, like, many of those people, like, well, he's clearly, like, doesn't feel that way about those comments anymore and acknowledges they're wrong. At the end of the day, we can't change what we've done in the past. And for me, as long as people, like, serve their, like, whatever sentence they do for saying that at the time, like, as long as they acknowledge that it's wrong now, that's fine. That's fine. Like, if people want to, like, say, hold their hands and say, I made a mistake, then that's fair. Like, I don't see why I should punish them, as long as the idea of apologizing doesn't become a you know a, escape clause, in a way. Like, as long as people don't carry on fucking up and continue. And that's the case for Loki.
yep,
The notion of an apology is that you're meant to learn from those mistakes. And if I made a mistake and I said, you know what, guys, I'm sorry, I would legitimately mean it. But if I then went and did it again, it would throw that whole concept of the apology up into the air, because I'm doing something that I've already acknowledged was wrong. And that's the difference. That's the difference. I mean, not only that what he did the second time around, like, was worse than anything comprehensive. I mean, even if it was a first time in that situation, but even if it was a first time, he should have gone immediately. But it's like, it was no there, it was clear he's not interested in learning from his mistakes. He's just interested in short-term gratification. And really, that was the ultimate issue with Loki. And people like that shouldn't be supported, and they shouldn't be enabled. And it will continue to happen. It did continue to happen. I mean, as I said, there were situations with Just Destiny and Turkey Tom and such, where Loki continued to abuse what he knew and what he had, to the point where, those people were actively calling them out, and very, very questionable actions. And his place, I hope he, as you say, we hope he gets help. Hope he gets help and sorts out his problems. But the fact is, like, at the end of the day, like, he says, I think one of the things, like, I mean, I know he says he's autistic, and of course, like, it's important to be sympathetic to people's mental state, but equally, it doesn't excuse actions that have been committed, especially when you're in a position of power and you have influence. You are still, like, regardless of your own state at all, those people don't those people will still react the same way. If I went and attack someone, but I suffer from a mental state. It may explain the actions more, but it would still mean that I'm not fit to operate in that society.
Right.
Loki is not fit to operate in this community, regardless of how sympathetic his state is, which, in my opinion, not sympathetic at all anyway. Maybe I'm a bit biased because, I did give him a lot of useful advice and he just kind of just completely threw it to the wayside. But either way, he's the implications of his actions extend beyond any explanation, and that's the important point to keep in mind.
No, I totally agree with you. Wow, we've been recording for over an hour, and even with that little cutout that we're gonna do, like, this will probably be the longest interview I've done.
Well, that's good. I've got a lot to say.
You are a very interesting person, James.
I am a very interesting person. That is something that a lot of people say. I tend to try and take it as a compliment.
No, it is. When I state it, it is 100% a compliment. I'm not being I'm not like trying to skirt somebody. When I find someone interesting, there are people who I'm like, oh, I want to talk to this person more. Not like, oh, you're interesting. I want to sidestep and, like, walk away from this situation. It's all like, you are someone whose brain I would pick on subjects.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, and obviously people would pick my brain more if I wasn't so elusive in the community, and if I didn't go into calls on such few occasions, because that's the only thing that I'm not. I mean, I have open DMs. I'm quite an accessible person to an extent, but on the other hand, I don't tend to do too many group calls.
It can be taxing.
I mean, it is very taxing. It is a very taxing occupation all round. I mean, people are on full break here, and I've spent Thursday was full break. I was scripting all that day. Also had to watch Shane Dawson's documentary. Friday, scripting, recorded today. Yep. Probably audio edit this evening. You have to be kind of mad to do YouTube. You have to be kind of unhinged to do the YouTube to the extent I'm doing it, at least. Like, if YouTube was my full-time job, then it would be okay. I probably like be spending a reasonable amount, but combine it with
school,
university. I mean, it's university. I'm no school child anymore.
Oh, no. I mean, school is, like, in the US, school and university.
Yeah. I mean, university, college. Combine it with that, and it becomes pretty much a very extreme workload.
I also am raising a child on top of working, on top of doing the networking and the YouTube and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly get, like, maybe 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night, but I'm already an insomniac. So
yeah,
it doesn't make life great.
I don't get much downtime, admittedly. Because
I steal downtime.
That's how it be. I mean, I do, but the problem with me is that you might have a job, and like, and I've spoken with friends like this before. Like, they have jobs, and the one, like, positive thing, I hate jobs. But the one positive thing you can say about a job is that when the shift's over, the shift's over. With university, the shift's never over. Like,
oh no, I graduated from college a year ago, so I understand that. I was working full time, going to work. I was working full time, going to college, and taking care of my son. And I was trying to do stand up comedy at the time too, and something had to give, and I gave up doing stand up because I couldn't give up the other 3, legitimately.
Yeah.
And instead of going back to stand up, I replaced that time that I was doing school with YouTube. After 6 months of just having too much free time on my hands. And now I'm just constantly busy. And I love it, but then again, I don't end up having a lot of time to go do stuff because I'm like, oh, I have a scheduled like Discord call with so and so at this time, and like if people looked at my computer screen on my desktop, there's I use the sticky note feature that Windows 10 has, and I have like schedules, and I have like the schedule on when videos are going to go out, schedules on like who I want to talk to, who I've talked to, like when I'm recording with them, if I've recorded with them. I have a schedule for the food I cook, video ideas. Like my entire main screen is just filled with sticky notes effectively. Like digital sticky notes, but sticky notes nonetheless, just because YouTube has become this thing that has like overwhelmed whatever free time I have. So the people who I get to talk to on frequent, like you and I don't speak frequently, but when we do, it's always enjoyable.
Well, I'm glad I can provide that entertainment.
You're always very enlightening, and it's fantastic. Even when we're in calls that have to do with drama, or if we're in call, like, I think the last 2 calls, other than this one that you and I have been in, one was because of drama, and one was because, YouTube was down.
Yeah. That was two fantastic conversations.
I think both of those times I just added you to the call.
Yeah, I think you did, and I don't blame you. I do. I mean,
I figured I would call all the creators I cared about who like might want to talk, and especially it's such a stressful time when a lot of you had just posted videos, and I just had Ziosity in there because I always do. Zio is awesome.
Yeah. Zio is great. It's great.
But oh wait, no. I was in a call with you yesterday.
Yeah, it's a very brief call.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't yesterday. It was the day before yesterday, and we had a brief call.
Yeah.
And
we all admitted we were gay in that call. Well, I'm half gay.
It was. Yeah. Yeah. Everyone was. I mean, but so is Zio. So
yeah. So 2 half gays make a full gay, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly that. There you go. 2 gays. But yes, it was.
Been a lot of interesting times over the last couple of weeks with YouTube and Twitter being as interesting as they've become.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's a lot has changed in the environment on Twitter. Everything's become a lot more disparate in a way. I think disparate's the right word. I mean, I'm just combing through my memory. I think disparate's the right word. Everyone's become a lot more disconnected from each other, and it'll be interesting to see how that's put back together because I feel like there is still a lot of community there, but a lot of people are just hanging in their cliques right now. Also, a lot of people, some people have left. I think school is quite intense right now. Everyone's YouTube is taking a hit. I think the only person who I'd say is doing relatively well for themselves right now is James Marriott, and a lot of other people have taken a real hit in the last week with their views. I think that was mainly because of the midterms. So we'll see how we do emerging from that. Equally, everything just seems a bit more isolated. So it'll be interesting to see how it progresses because there was a real time when everything was like everyone was just kind of bouncing off each other, a real community of people interacting, and now it's kind of moved into these groups.
I wish definitely. I wish come outside of the group chats and more be public. I tried to attend, and this is a thought process. Like I'm down to talk to anyone in DMs. I have open DMs myself, but when I have an opinion that I want people to know, instead of going to a group chat and just telling the group chat my opinion, I go publicly to Twitter, and even if I get like 2 or 3 likes, I don't care. I don't have that many followers, and the people who tend to like it are not always the people who speak to me the most, who I speak to in these group chats. I don't need validation from the people who add me to a group. I'm not saying my opinions for validations. I'm saying them because they're either valid criticisms, like with the Logan Paul and YouTube stuff, or they're, just one human being having an opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone is open. Everyone is allowed to have their opinions, and everyone should be able to publicly state their opinions, unless it's that pedophilia is okay. That one can go die in a fire.
I mean, I mean, yeah. Once again, it's like, what is acceptable and what isn't.
Exactly.
And mostly, I'm pretty open with discussion and such. But yeah, there are some things. I think the problem is that there are ideas that should and shouldn't. There are some ideas that are probably best to leave out of the discussion, mainly because they don't yield anything positive from them, and there are a lot of and that's typically why like I moved partly away from politics at the time, because there were a lot of discussions being had that I was like, I'm just so like, I'm so against. I think like the whole discussion there is just so counterproductive, like.
It really
and
is.
in your case, like when you say like pedophilia is okay discussion, I mean that's another one. Like what positives are going to come?
I didn't say it wasn't okay.
No, I mean no. I'm not saying it's okay, but I'm saying you used it as an example.
Yes.
And like it was at the time I actually made a response video. Someone was saying that, and it was like, I say like, oh, why would this? What is the positives that can yield from a discussion like this? Like at the end of the day, I don't care. Just please keep it to yourself, and don't. I don't need people like publicly expressing themselves, because the prime target of pedophilia is children, and they don't want to hear that. They're the last people who should hear that. And they're not in a mental mindset to really take in the fact that there's this 50-year-old bearded guy in his basement attracted to them. It's not really appropriate, given the type of conversation.
Exactly.
And there were other conversations that I felt that way about, but although I did understand why people felt differently, it wasn't a discussion that I thought was worth having. And it just became draining to try and keep up with it. Equally though, I do think there are some things that are more controversial and hot button that should be discussed, mainly because they're not going to go away anytime soon. And I think one of the biggest issues recently was that people just kind of ignored the discussions or tried to shut down the conversations in the hope that they'd go away, but then it was just used against them and it just came back harder. And equally, like, it's just a case by case basis.
Exactly.
You just have to know like we just have to work out like, what is worth our time, what is worth like, what should we discuss to make sure like society like doesn't go to absolute dog shite. I'm really like open on stuff, but there is some like I if someone wants to engage on stuff, that's their own personal prerogative. But there's some stuff that I personally like wouldn't feel appropriate discussing. And like there's just things like conversations that I think, well, why is this? What positives are going to come from this? Like it's not a worthwhile thing.
But I thank you, James, for
no, thank you too for hosting me. I've had a lot of fun.
So you guys, as always, links to James's Twitter and his YouTube channel will be in the description down below. If you don't already watch The Right Opinion, you really should. His content is fantastic. description, also in the description will be links to all of the ways to contact me and to the Discord server. Go ahead and reach out for any suggestions on people you would like to be seen on here, or any opinions you want me to, anything you would like me to give my opinion on. And have a great day.